Okay, so we're going to start looking at chapter 1 now in a minute. Let's just quickly, one more time, look at this. And one more review of this. So we have the month applied to this range. And that will give it, and remember, some of these are dates, and some of them are at the 8th month, and this indicates this cell had an 8 in it, so we're checking which cells in this range have an 8 in them. If we find that they have an 8 in them, we're going to use this range here, which is actually 2 columns, because there's a J and a K. We're going to use that range, or we're going to use what's in that range. But if this is not equal to 8, then we're going to replace what's in this range, or what's in the row, the appropriate row of this range, by 0, actually zeros, right? Okay, and then we're going to have a big array, which is either going to have each row have zeros, or it's going to have something else, whatever was in here. Whatever was in here. So we're going to have a big array, actually, of 2 columns, and then we're just going to take the sum of all of that, and we're going to put it in whatever cell we're typing this into. Okay, that's the way this formula works. So I just wanted to go through this before we start, so that you understand this array enter technique. Okay, even still, let's just look at this a little bit. So this author, he's talking about actually books that I think books that he's actually selling on Amazon, or if not, he's actually selling at least some books on Amazon. So at least one of them is books that he's actually selling, and he's actually trying to record when he makes a sale or not, and he puts a 1 in if he makes a sale, and a 0 if he doesn't. So like this was what, May 4th 2011, 12:02 a.m., and this is next May 4th 2011, 1:02 a.m. So in this interval, or did he sell a book or not? So according to this, there's a 0 here, so that I believe means he didn't sell a book then. Okay? Now, in the next interval from here to here, it looks like he believes he did sell a book. And I say believes because Amazon doesn't actually tell you if you sold a book, but he tries to guess based on other things. So it looks like he did sell a book. Okay? And then here it looks like he didn't. Here it didn't. And then actually there's another column. This is the J column. This is the K column. And the K column is Kindle books, and this is like the hardcover, or I guess the soft cover books. So did he sell a soft cover copy, or did he sell a Kindle copy, or none, or what? So that's what these 2 columns are. I'm not even sure what these columns are. Okay, so we have the time, the date and time, and did he sell or not? And this is his, I think it's called his ranking at Amazon. So his ranking was 343,138. So that, out of all the books that are sold at Amazon, Amazon kind of ranks your book, how well is it selling. So he was not too high, right? He was at 343,138, so he wasn't definitely was not around the top, right? Around the top of this would be 1 or 2. If you were 1, that would mean you're the best-selling book at Amazon. If you're 2, you're the second best. So he definitely was not around the top of the best-selling books. Now here, his ranking went down even further, right? It went from 343, so his number got larger, so his ranking got worse. Okay, but here, for some reason, his ranking went way up. And here, it didn't change. And then here, whoops, it seemed to go down, and then drop down, 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 down. Okay? And basically you can see from here to here his ranking got much better, and he's going to say that that's because he thinks a book was sold. So one book being sold will bring your ranking, will move your ranking a lot according to what he thinks. And you'll see what I mean by what he thinks, because he doesn't know actually how Amazon, Amazon doesn't tell you when exactly when you've sold a book, and all they really publish is your ranking. So he's making a guess or an inference based on the change in the ranking. Whenever there's a big change or a significant change in the ranking, he's going to say one book was sold. So he gets a 1 here, I guess. Okay, so that's the idea. That's basically what these are. So that's why we wanted to, so I guess in that formula that we were looking at, he was trying to figure out how many books were sold in just in August. Remember, the month was 8. So he was trying to figure out how many books were sold in that month, and he put zeros every other place. So even though there might have been a 1 here, like there is a 1 here, but this is not August, so in that array that we get from the array formula, this would have a 0. And we would only keep the ones where it was in the 8th month. And that way he has this big array of 1s and 0s, and then he can sum that up and count how many books were sold in that month of August. Okay? So that's part of what we're doing here. Now, before we do that, we're going to learn about how he's collecting the data from Amazon's page. And he does this in Excel, and he sets it so that it's collecting data all the time. He doesn't have to sort of run this. It's just automatically collecting data all the time. So before we get to all that those formulas that we've just been talking about, we need to talk about how to collect the data. Let's just go through a little bit of this first. Building a collector. The word analytics connotes, among other notions, the idea that the raw data that gets analyzed includes quantitative measures of online browsing behavior. I'm not sure about that. I don't know why analytics doesn't have anything to do with online browsing behavior necessarily. Anyway, data collection instruments such as Omniture, so I don't know what that is, but I guess it collects data, or Google Analytics, are useful in part because they track a variety of behavior, hits, how many page hits you get on your website, how many views you get on your website, how many downloads, how many buys, and so on. So they're useful because they track this, along with information about the source of the visit, who was looking at your website. However, there are times that you want to measure product performance but can't access the traffic data. So like in his case, he wants to know about how his book is selling, but he can't access the traffic data. He doesn't know what's going on at Amazon. He doesn't own Amazon, so he doesn't know what what's happening there. Amazon doesn't tell him completely what's happening. He says, suppose you supply a product that another company or company resells on their own website. So that's just like his case, right? He's supplying a book and Amazon is selling it. Although those companies might share their web traffic information with you, it's more likely that they regard it as proprietary. So in other words, they regard it as it's their information, and they don't have to share it with you. In that case, if you want to analyze end users' purchasing behavior, you might be limited to any data that the reseller's website makes generally available. Like in his case, he can only basically see what's on Amazon's website. So he doesn't really have that much more information. I'm sure Amazon must tell him how many books are sold, but maybe not exactly when they're sold. But he may want to know when they're sold. That's the position that I'm in when it comes to sales of my books by web resellers such as Amazon. Although I hear rumors from time to time that Amazon shares data about actual sales with book authors. He says he's heard that Amazon shares data about actual sales with book authors or suppliers of music and manufacturers of tangible products. It hasn't reached him. He hasn't gotten any of this information yet, unfortunately, he says, in any particular useful form. So I have to roll my own. I have to create my own way of figuring this out. Fortunately, one of the sales and marketing devices that Amazon employs is product rankings. So he says that Amazon does publish product rankings. They don't do that for him, though. They do that because it helps their sales. But he's going to use that anyway. As to books, there are a couple different rankings, such as overall sales and sales within categories. So they tell you, I don't know, such as within a category of Excel books. Although as an author, I hope that my books achieve a high sales ranking in a category. So I'd like to know that he'd like to know that his book is very high in the Excel category, but what he really hopes to achieve is nice, high overall sales ranking. So not just within some category, but just generally overall sales ranking, which I believe to bear a closer relationship to actual sales. So he thinks that maybe sales, knowing how well you are within the category of Excel books is not as useful as knowing how well you're doing in terms of overall Amazon book sales. He says he believes that's a closer relationship to actual sales. Okay, so that's where we're headed. Well, let's wait. So what I want to do is create a means of accessing information about book ratings, including titles that compete with mine, save the data in a form that I can use for analysis, and make inferences about the results of the analysis. So what we're going to learn about is how to save the data into a spreadsheet so that we can analyze it. And then we're going to talk later about doing data mining on it, or making inferences about the results. In this chapter, I show you just how to do just that. Get analytics. I don't know why he's calling analytics necessarily online. I'm not sure that analytics refers to just online, but anyway, get analytics without the active cooperation of the website. So we're going to get this data even though Amazon's not giving us anything but the web pages. The techniques don't require that you be interested in book sales, so you don't just have to use this as Amazon or just in books at Amazon. They can be used for anything from product sales to stock prices. So you could use the same kinds of techniques to get data on stocks, to yards gained per pass attempt. He's talking about American football, and some statistics about games or players in football. So anyway, you can use this because you're just looking at getting data from the web. Could be all kinds of different data. Okay, so that's where we're heading.